In the dark forests of the Nilgiri Hills in South India, where mist drifts between ancient trees and rain drums on the leaves for months on end, lives a tribe whose traditions challenge everything we know about marriage and family. Here, among forges and potteries, where sparks fly under hammers and clay takes new forms, a man brings a wife home, but not just for himself. She becomes the wife of all his brothers at the same time. This isn't a scandal, not infidelity, not a secret hidden from the neighbors. It's the law. It's tradition. It's a way to survive in a world where every decision can cost an entire family their lives. Welcome to the world of the Kota, a tribe that has turned polyandry not just into a custom, but into an art of social survival. When brothers become husbands. Imagine a young Kota man going to ask for a bride's hand. He bows to the bride's father, pays a symbolic fee, 4 annas, and a bride price that can range from 10 to 100 rupees. The ceremony is simple, without pomp. But the moment the girl crosses the threshold of his house, something happens that would shock 19th century European minds. She automatically becomes the wife not only of her husband, but of all his brothers. This isn't a metaphor, it's a literal reality. The husband's brothers receive full marital rights. When the husband is sick, absent, or unable to perform his duties, any of his brothers takes his place, both in the household and in bed. But why could such a system even arise? What made an entire tribe practice for centuries what other cultures considered unthinkable? Iron, wood, and survival. The Kota aren't just farmers. They're blacksmiths, potters, carpenters. The indigenous artisans of the Nilgiri Plateau who provide neighboring tribes with iron tools, wooden utensils, and clay pots. In their world, each family is a mini factory. A forge in one corner, a potter's wheel in another, a warehouse of finished products by the wall. And also fields that need to be cultivated, buffaloes and cows that need to be cared for. One man isn't physically capable of handling all this work, especially considering that trade requires constant trips to neighboring tribes, the Toda, Badaga, Kurumba, each with their own needs and customs. And what happens if the only man in the family gets sick, or gets injured in the forge, or dies on the road? The entire economic system of the family collapses. The woman is left alone with the children, without means of subsistence, without protection. Polyandry solved this problem radically. Every woman always has several men ready to support her. A house where everyone lives together. A typical Kota house isn't a cozy nest for one family. It's a complex where several brothers live under one roof with their wives and children. But how does this work in practice? How do you avoid conflicts, jealousy, territorial disputes? The answer lies in a clear hierarchy and rules honed over centuries. The official husband has priority. He's recognized as the father of all the children his wife bears. His word is decisive in family matters. He receives the wife's primary attention. But when he's not home, and a trader often has to be away for weeks, any of his brothers not only can but must take his place. And the husband has no right to be jealous or prevent this. This right turns into an obligation when it comes to protecting the family. If the village is attacked by wild animals or enemies, if an epidemic or natural disaster breaks out, all the brothers are equally responsible for the safety of the woman and children. When space becomes limited. But what happens when families grow and the house becomes cramped? The Kota solved this problem simply. Each married brother built a separate house for his family. But polyandrous rights were maintained. Geographical separation didn't mean a break in family ties. The woman could still count on the support of all her husband's brothers, and they still had access to her, while respecting the hierarchy and mutual respect. This system created a unique network of mutual support that encompassed not only one family but entire clans. The principle of brotherly equality. Anthropologists have spent decades trying to understand the logic of the Kota. Why did their polyandry work when in other societies similar experiments ended in conflict and family breakdown? The key is what researchers have called the principle of brotherly equality. If a woman belongs to all the brothers at the same time, then none of them gets an advantage over the others. The balance is maintained. Envy and competition are minimized. But what happened when a woman became a widow? Could she choose a new husband from among the deceased's brothers? Here, the system showed its flexibility. The widow could marry one of the deceased husband's brothers. Then the polyandrous relationship continued. Or she could choose a man from another family. Then the connection with the deceased's brothers was severed. There was no coercion. The decision remained with the woman. Comparison with neighbors, the Kota and their buffaloes. To understand the uniqueness of the Kota system, it's worth comparing it with the customs of their closest neighbors, the Kota tribe. The Kota also practiced polyandry, but their culture revolved exclusively around buffalo breeding. The sacred animals determined the entire social structure, rituals, even the architecture of the dwellings. For the Kota, everything was more complex. They combined agriculture, animal husbandry, crafts, and trade. Their polyandry served not religious purposes, but purely practical ones, ensuring economic stability and a diversified activity. This made their system more flexible and adaptable to change. The Kota themselves think about this system. How did they explain their customs? One of anthropologist David Mandelbaum's informants gave a surprisingly modern explanation. Polyandry promotes friendship between a man's wife and his brothers. When there's a need to help the wife and children, the brothers don't hesitate because they feel a personal responsibility. In other words, the system created emotional bonds that strengthened economic relationships. The woman wasn't a stranger to the Kota. She was part of their lives, their concern, their responsibility. In a crisis, this turned into a powerful support network. The economics of polyandry. Modern anthropologists identify several functions that polyandry served in Kota society and other similar tribes. Preservation of land. In some mountainous regions of India, polyandry prevented the fragmentation of family land among heirs. All brothers gained access to the same plot through a shared wife. Formation of alliances. In some African tribes, polyandry created complex networks of kinship that helped in trade and mutual protection. Population balance. In conditions of high infant mortality and short lifespans, polyandry ensured the maximum chance of procreation. The Kota combined all three factors, but the main one remained economic. The need to maintain a complex economy in conditions of limited resources. A woman between tradition and choice. What was the role of women in this system? Was she simply an object shared by men? Or did she possess real power? Sources show a mixed picture. On the one hand, a woman could not choose her husband independently. The families made the decision. On the other hand, within the existing marriage, she enjoyed considerable freedom. She could influence the distribution of attention among her brother's husbands. She could make decisions about managing the household. And after her husband's death, she could fully control her future. It's not equality in the modern sense, but it's not complete submission either. Rituals and daily life. What did daily life look like in a polyandrous Kota family? In the morning, the woman prepared breakfast for the whole extended family, her husband, his brothers, the children, and possibly elderly parents. The men went about their business. some to the forge, some to the fields, some with goods to neighboring villages. During the day, the woman took care of the house, the children, and helped with craft work, for example, painting finished pottery or sorting materials for blacksmithing. In the evening, the family gathered together. Dinner, discussion of business, plans for tomorrow. The woman usually spent the night with the official husband, but if he was absent or ill, any of the brothers could take his place. No secret meetings, no scandals. Everything happened openly, within the accepted rules. Comparison with global practices. Kotha polyandry was not a unique phenomenon. Similar systems existed in different parts of the world. Tibetan highlanders practiced fraternal polyandry to preserve family lands in harsh climates. The Jos Plateau tribes in Nigeria used polyandry to create broad networks of family alliances. The Lele of Congo practiced a unique form of village wife who was married to several men from the same community. But the Kotha system stood out for its complexity and thoughtfulness. It took into account the economic, social, and even psychological aspects of communal living. Modern challenges to an ancient tradition. How has the Kotha system changed with the arrival of the colonial period and modernity? The British authorities disapproved of polyandry but did not directly prohibit it. Christian missionaries tried to convert the Kotha to their faith, preaching monogamy as the only correct form of marriage. Gradually, the traditional system began to erode. Young men who were educated in the cities increasingly chose monogamous marriages. Women began to demand more personal freedom. Today, classic Kotha polyandry has practically disappeared. In some families, elements of traditional mutual assistance between brothers remain, but the full system has collapsed under the pressure of modernity. Lessons for understanding human nature. What can the story of the Kotha tribe tell us about the nature of human relationships? Flexibility of social structures. What seems natural in one culture may be completely alien in another. Monogamous marriage is not the only possible form of family organization. Economic foundations of personal relationships. Many features of family life are determined not by romantic ideals, but by practical needs for survival and prosperity. The role of tradition in stabilizing society. The Kotha system worked because it was embedded in a broader cultural context that supported and justified its existence. Human adaptability. Both the men and women of the Kotha found ways to live and be happy within a system that seems impossible to modern people. Scientific significance of the phenomenon. The study of Kotha polyandry has made an important contribution to the development of anthropology and family sociology. Researchers have realized that human societies can develop a wide variety of strategies for adapting to the environment and economic conditions. What works in one context may be completely inapplicable in another. The Kotha case also showed the importance of studying cultures from the inside, from the point of view of their own participants, rather than through the lens of external prejudices. Legacy of a disappearing tradition. Although traditional Kotha polyandry is a thing of the past, its influence can be traced in the modern culture of the descendants of this tribe. The Kotha are still famous for their skill in crafts. Their blacksmithing, pottery, and wooden utensils are in demand far beyond the Nilgiri Hills. The tradition of mutual assistance between members of the extended family has also been preserved. Although brothers no longer share one wife, they still maintain close ties and help each other in difficult times. Conclusion. The story of the Kotha tribe is a story of how human communities find unique solutions to universal problems. In conditions of economic uncertainty, geographical isolation, and a constant struggle for survival, they created a system that ensured stability and prosperity for centuries. Their polyandry wasn't just some exotic custom, but a well-thought-out strategy for adapting to harsh living conditions. It turned potential competition between brothers into cooperation, created networks of mutual support, and ensured the economic stability of families. Today, with the traditional system collapsing under the pressures of modernity, we can appreciate it as a unique experiment in social organization, an experiment that tells us a lot about the flexibility of human nature and the diversity of possible family life forms.